Imagine a place where the wilderness literally swallows souls whole, where ancient whispers ride the icy winds, and where, just maybe, metallic eyes are watching from the endless twilight sky. This isn't some fantasy novel. This is Alaska. Since the 1970s, more than 20,000 people have vanished within a vast, unforgiving expanse known as the Alaska Triangle. That's an average of over 2,250 souls vanishing each year, a rate more than double the national average for missing persons in the United States. So, what dark secrets is this frozen frontier guarding so jealously? Stretching between Anchorage, the state's biggest city, Juneau in the southeast, and Utqiagvik, formerly Barrow, way up on the stark northern coast, lies the Alaska Triangle. This isn't just a spot on a map. It's a hotspot for unsettling mysteries, a place where the line between what we know and what we can't even imagine blurs into the perpetual twilight of an Arctic winter. For decades, it's been a silent witness to countless unexplained disappearances, baffling things seen in the sky, and chilling legends that were around long before any modern records. Now, Alaska is enormous. Rugged mountains, dense forests, millions of lakes. It's undeniably dangerous. Less than 1/20% of its 365 million acres are settled, leaving an almost incomprehensible wilderness. But are the staggering numbers of the vanished purely down to its harsh environment and wild weather? Or does something far stranger lurk in its depths? Something that connects the lost, the ancient spirits, and those silent watchers in the sky? We're heading deep into the heart of Alaska's greatest enigma, looking for answers in a land that rarely gives them up. The chronicles of the Alaska Triangle are filled with names that have become whispers, cautionary tales echoing through that vast emptiness. Maybe one of the most famous and downright perplexing is the disappearance of U.S. House Majority Leader Thomas Hawley Boggs Sr. and Alaska Congressman Nick Begich. It was October 1972. Their light aircraft, also carrying Begich's aide Russell Brown and pilot Dome Johns, simply vanished while flying from Anchorage to Juneau. This kicked off one of the largest search and rescue missions in U.S. history. 50 civilian planes and 40 military aircraft scoured over 32,000 square miles for 39 long days. And yet, not a single trace of the plane or the people on board was ever found. The fact that Boggs was on the Warren Commission, the one that investigated President Kennedy's assassination, and had supposedly voiced doubts about its findings, well, that just threw gasoline on the conspiracy theories. Did they just fall victim to the unforgiving Alaskan elements? Or was a more sinister hand at play? Then there's the case of Gary Frank Sutherland. He was a 25-year-old from New York who went into the Alaskan wilderness for a hunting trip back in the mid-1970s and just never came back. For decades, nobody knew what happened to him. It wasn't until 1997 that a human skull was found along the Porcupine River. And only in 2022, thanks to DNA analysis, was it confirmed to be Sutherland's, the likely cause of death? A bear mauling. While this case found a grim resolution, it really hammers home the very real dangers. But not all stories end with even that kind of tragic explanation. Think about Alan Foster, an expert pilot with nearly 10,000 flight hours, who just blinked off the radar shortly after takeoff in 2013. No distress call, no wreckage, nothing. Or Richard Griffiths, an inventor testing out a wilderness survival cocoon, who disappeared after catching a bus towards the White River. More recently, Joseph Balderas vanished without a trace from Nome in 2016. And Florence Ock-Pelock, a 33-year-old mother, disappeared from that same town in August 2020. These aren't just freak accidents. Even experienced rescue workers have talked about hearing phantom voices and feeling disorienting dizziness while searching for the missing. Some disappearances are especially chilling because they happen in places that seem less remote, like the person who vanished from a cruise ship, or another from a crowded tourist spot on a mountaintop, as cryptozoologist Ken Gerhard has recounted. These aren't just numbers. They're echoes of lives cut short, their stories unfinished, swallowed by the immense and silent landscape. The sheer number of people who disappear without a trace, many of them experienced outdoors people, just seems to defy simple explanations. The mystery got even thicker with a recent event in February 2025, when a Bering Air flight with 9 passengers and 1 pilot vanished on its way from Unalakleet to Nome. Although the wreckage was eventually found, and tragically, everyone on board had died, the incident briefly reignited intense speculation about the triangle's ominous reputation, especially considering Nome's own dark history with disappearances. While this specific crash happened outside the traditionally defined triangle, Alaska's overall high rate of fatal aviation accidents and missing persons keeps that legend very much alive. Long before anyone ever called it the Alaska Triangle, the indigenous peoples of this land, the Tlingit, Haida, Tsimshian, Athabaskan, Yupik, and Inupiat, among others, had a deep understanding of its mysteries. Their ancient oral traditions are packed with stories of powerful spirits, elusive creatures, and dangerous sacred places where the veil between worlds is incredibly thin. These aren't just old bedtime stories. They're ancestral knowledge, wisdom passed down for thousands of years, offering perspectives that often connect disturbingly with modern unexplained events. One of the most formidable figures in Alaskan indigenous folklore is the Kushtaka, or Kushtaka. The Tlingit and Tsimshian people of southeastern Alaska often describe it as a man-otter hybrid. Legend says the Kushtaka lures unwary travelers, especially those who are lost or drowning, by mimicking a baby's cries or a woman's pleas. Once its victims are drawn in, their fate is sealed. They're either torn apart or, even more chillingly, transformed into Kushtaka themselves, trapped forever between the human and animal worlds. Are these ancient warnings just symbolic, or do they point to something tangible stalking the remote forests and waterways? Further north, Tailies of the Wendigo, a malevolent, cannibalistic spirit from Algonquin-speaking cultures, have also crept into the lore around the triangle's disappearances. This terrifying entity, said to be born from starvation and desperation, supposedly possesses humans, driving them to madness and an insatiable hunger for human flesh. While the Wendigo is more often linked to the forests of Canada and the northern United States, the overlapping themes of vanishing people and monstrous beings in remote, harsh places create an unsettling parallel. The native peoples also talk about Harriman, a creature a bit like Bigfoot or Sasquatch, but with its own unique Alaskan flavor. Sightings and encounters describe a massive bipedal ape-like being, incredibly strong and unnervingly elusive. In places like Port Chatham, an entire village was supposedly abandoned in the mid-20th century because of repeated and terrifying encounters with such a creature. It was blamed for disappearances and even mutilations. Some native traditions suggest these beings aren't just physical. They have supernatural abilities, able to appear and disappear at will, moving between our world and the spirit world. Beyond specific creatures, indigenous cosmology often describes spirit portals or thin places, locations where the spiritual world and the physical world meet. These areas, often geographically distinct and known to tribal elders, are treated with huge respect and caution, sometimes avoided completely. Could some of the baffling disappearances, where people vanish without a trace from seemingly accessible spots, be connected to accidentally stumbling through such a portal? Indigenous storytellers also describe areas where time and space seem to act erratically, where lost travelers experience profound disorientation and weird time distortions. Accounts that sound strikingly similar to what some pilots and hikers have reported after narrowly escaping the triangle's grip. These ancient narratives, far from being primitive superstitions might actually hold vital clues to understanding the enduring enigma of the Alaska Triangle. They offer a way of seeing where the land itself is a conscious, powerful force, and where spirits are as real as the ice and stone. The raven, a key figure in many Alaskan creation myths, is a powerful trickster and transformer, shaping the land and its inhabitants. Maybe the land still holds echoes of that transformative power. The vast, sparsely populated skies above the Alaska Triangle have been a stage for unexplained aerial phenomena for a long time, fueling theories that go way beyond earthly explanations. Reports of unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, now more formally called unidentified anomalous phenomena. UAPs are remarkably common in this region, far more than you'd expect for such a remote area. And these aren't just quick glimpses of lights. Witnesses, including experienced pilots and military personnel, describe encounters with craft that seem to defy everything we know about aerospace technology. One of the most famous cases happened back in November 1986. Japan Airlines Flight 1628, a Boeing 747 cargo freighter, was flying over northeastern Alaska, heading from Iceland to Anchorage. For over 30 minutes, Captain Kenju Terauchi and his crew reported being followed by two small, unidentified lights and a third, massive walnut-shaped craft that was several times bigger than their own jumbo jet. The objects made erratic moves, gave off light and heat, and were tracked by both the plane's onboard radar and ground control radar. Despite an official investigation, no ordinary explanation ever surfaced. Eyewitness accounts often describe silent, triangular objects gliding through mountain passes, mysterious lights tailing aircraft, and even UFOs seeming to emerge from or disappear into glaciers or remote mountain ranges. UFO expert Debbie Ziegelmeyer has suggested that Alaska's sparse population and vast, unmonitored areas could make it an appealing spot for extraterrestrial beings wanting to do things without being seen. Some theories even propose that there are hidden underwater or underground alien bases within the triangle's formidable terrain. And recent UFO sightings keep coming out of Alaska. Organizations like the National UFO Reporting Center log these. For instance, NUFORC data shows multiple sightings in Alaska throughout late 2024 and early 2025, including orbs, circles, and even triangular or chevron-shaped objects in areas like Anchorage, Vasilla, and Fairbanks. While some of these probably have perfectly normal explanations, others remain stubbornly unidentified. A sighting on February 17, 2025, described a slow, spiraling light pattern over northern Alaska that eventually just shrank and disappeared. The theories about UFO involvement are pretty diverse. Some paranormal investigators, like Johnny Enoch, have wondered about secret military operations, suggesting that experimental aircraft or even attempts to mess with portals or dimensional gateways might be behind some disappearances. The CIA declassified documents on the Alaska Triangle, though often heavily blacked out, have only added more fuel to these speculative fires, hinting that officials are more interested than they let on for just routine missing person cases. Could some of the advanced aerial objects be ours, part of black-budget projects hidden in the remote Alaskan wilderness? Or are we really dealing with visitors from somewhere else? Even the Aurora Borealis, that spectacular natural light show in Alaska's skies, has been linked by some UFO enthusiasts to alien craft, suggesting it might be an energy source or a navigational guide for them. Whatever their origin, the persistent sightings of unexplained aerial craft add another deeply unsettling layer to the already profound mystery of the Alaska Triangle. The Alaska Triangle isn't just one simple mystery. It is more like a complex tapestry woven from all these different threads. Thousands of vanished souls, Could the powerful spirits from indigenous folklore be misinterpretations of encounters with extraterrestrial beings, or the other way around? Or are there unknown earthly forces at play that show up in all sorts of strange ways? Some researchers and theorists suggest that there are energy vortexes, or window areas, within the Alaska Triangle. They think these are locations where electromagnetic energy is unusually concentrated or distorted. This could potentially lead to messed up navigation systems, altered states of consciousness, disorientation, and maybe even tears or thin spots in the fabric of reality itself. Remember how experienced rescue workers have reported sudden, inexplicable dizziness, confusion, and even hearing things in certain areas while searching for the lost? Those experiences seem to back up these ideas. Such anomalies could, in theory, explain why experienced pilots go off course, why hikers get hopelessly lost in familiar terrain, and perhaps even how people could vanish, seemingly, into thin air. The idea of interdimensional portals also comes up here, suggesting some of the disappeared might have unknowingly crossed into another reality. Of course, the sheer geological and atmospheric complexity of Alaska also offers more conventional, though still mysterious explanations. Unusual magnetic activity is often mentioned as a potential reason for navigational equipment going haywire. People often draw parallels to the Bermuda Triangle in this respect. Geologists have also pointed to fire ice or methane hydrate deposits, which are common in Alaska and can bubble up from the ocean floor. These releases of methane gas can drastically reduce the buoyancy of water, potentially causing ships to sink with very little warning. While this mostly explains disappearances at sea, it highlights the unique and sometimes poorly understood natural dangers of the region. And the landscape itself? It's an undeniable factor. Alaska is a land of extremes. 17 of the 20 tallest peaks in the U.S., over 3 million lakes, 100,000 glaciers, covering 5% of its landmass, and permafrost under 85% of the state. The weather can change with terrifying speed, with temperatures dropping to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit and avalanches claiming on average 170 lives every year. Finding a missing person in this vast, rugged, and sparsely inhabited land is often described as trying to find a specific molecule in a haystack. Many argue that the harsh environment and plain old human error are enough to explain the high number of disappearances. And yet, the statistics remain stubbornly high, especially the number of those who are never found, even when they're experienced in surviving tough conditions. The rate of unsolved missing person cases in the Alaska Triangle is significantly higher than the national average. This difference keeps the door wide open to more unconventional theories. From cryptozoological explanations involving creatures like Bigfoot or the Kushtaka, to theories of secret government experiments, the search for answers continues to push the boundaries of our understanding. Some even point to eerie silence that often follows these disappearances, the way the wilderness just seems to absorb people without leaving a single clue. The enigma of the Alaska Triangle is far from solved. What do you think is behind these countless vanishings and strange encounters? Are logical explanations enough? Or are there truly otherworldly forces at play here? Share your theories and thoughts in the comments below. And if you find these mysteries as compelling as we do, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more explorations into the unknown. Hitting that notification bell will make sure you don't miss our next investigation. The Alaska Triangle continues to hold its secrets tight, a vast, chilling expanse where stunning beauty and sheer terror live side by side. Thousands of souls are still unaccounted for, their stories lost to the unforgiving wilderness, their fates fueling speculation that runs the gamut from the mundane to the truly mind-bending. We've touched on the heartbreaking tales of the vanished, delved into the ancient wisdom of indigenous spirits and legends, and peered into those unsettling skies filled with unidentified phenomena. while the harsh realities of Alaska's environment, its treacherous terrain, extreme weather, and vast, uninhabited spaces undoubtedly explain many tragedies, a stubborn core of high-profile and utterly baffling cases remains. Cases where seasoned pilots disappear in good weather, where individuals vanish from populated areas, or where strange lights and forces seem to play a part. These are the stories that keep the legend of the Alaska Triangle alive. They re a chilling reminder that there are still places on Earth where the veil of the known is thin, and where the wilderness guards mysteries that may forever be beyond our grasp. The answers, if they even exist, lie hidden in the cold, silent, and unforgiving heart of Alaska, waiting, perhaps, for the next soul to wander just a little too close. The only certainty is that the disappearances continue, and the Triangle keeps its watch.